Welcome back to Sunday Supplement. Let's talk about Liverpool's dramatic defeat at the Vitality Stadium to Bournemouth. The Sunday Times front page of their sports section says Bourne supremacy. 95th minute was when Adley scored that winning goal. Mark, extraordinary game at the Vitality Stadium. If you could look at it one way, it was 13 games unbeaten in all competitions for Liverpool going into it, but it masks the fact that the previous four before this defeat were all draws in the Premier League. Is the feeling maybe of discontent from the Liverpool fans towards Arne Slot maybe just growing a little bit?
I think it is. I think, Liverpool fans will give their manager a bit more time, especially one that's won the Premier League title, as he did last season. But the grumblings from Liverpool fans are that the style of play is boring, basically. It's a bit more predictable than it was last season. It's obviously Jurgen Klopp had this fantastic way of playing, and Liverpool fans had 5 or 6 of the best years of their life watching the Klopp football. Slot came in last year and a bit of a hybrid. He kind of evolved Liverpool, won the title, but still, kept playing the Klopp way. It's fault, or it's Frimpong's fault, or it's Kirk's fault, but it's usually Virgil van Dijk's fault this season. And yesterday it was, I know it was windy, but still it was his fault. And I think when your best player, your captain, is making mistakes on a regular basis, then that obviously affects the team. And Arne Slot, as much as he's struggling right now with certain situations, if your captain is playing like that, and you can't drop Virgil van Dijk because there's nobody coming to play in his place, you've got a problem. But is that Slot's fault? Is that the people above him who didn't sign Mark Gray? So everybody at Liverpool can take a share of the blame for the situation right now.
And I think obviously I can't speak for the whole fan base, obviously, but I think a lot of people in the Liverpool fan base are setting their sights more at the sporting directors and the direction of the squad than they are at Slot himself at the moment. And that might change, and I think results like yesterday, as you said, Darmish, that's not going to help, obviously. But I think fundamentally, if you look at Liverpool's squad, it's just really unbalanced. And they spent all that money, and it's a bit of a mess now. And you look at the wingers, there's basically only Salah for the right wing because Chiesa effectively won't play no matter what happens. Slot doesn't want to play him. The other backup winger is Rio Nagumo, who's effectively a child, and Cody Gakpo is struggling. So the wingers are weak, and they've lost Diaz obviously from last year. Nunez wasn't the most popular player among sort of the wider football fans, but Liverpool fans really appreciated Nunez and what he brought to the team. And obviously the tragic scenario of Diogo Jota, which nobody could have prepared for, and none of us can ever fully understand how hard that was to deal with. But fundamentally, the squad last year was much better balanced, a much better place to compete than it is right now. And Mark mentioned the centre-back situation. That has to be one of the biggest sort of mistakes made by any club this summer, to not have got that Gakey deal done over the line, get it sealed long before the deadline was even an issue, and to not have that. Konate's had a poor season. Van Dijk, as you say, is really struggling. They've not got the backup. And also, I think you mentioned it yesterday, Mark, when we were talking about it, Jarell Quansah was sold. A really talented young England international was sold before they got the replacement in, and then they were unable to do that deal. And yes, Palace took it out of their hands to an extent, but from Liverpool's point of view, it should never have got to that stage where it was a few hours to go and a crunch decision.
Just picking up on what Sam was saying there, Carl, Slot seems to be taking all the heat at the moment. We can compare it a little bit to Thomas Frank and what Sam mentioned before. There are a lot of other issues going on at Tottenham Hotspur, but just on that recruitment is £450 million spent, and yet we are still talking about gaping holes in that Liverpool squad. Should there be much more heat than there is on the people above Arne Slot?
I certainly think so. I certainly think Liverpool's summer window was the equivalent of skipping leg day or not eating your vegetables. They've just avoided 4 or 5 really, really important things within their squad. You took a player like McAllister, who had hernia surgery in the summer, and it took some time for him to get back up to full speed as well. I think he's getting closer to his best, but he's got far too much work to do in central midfield. There was that experimentation to get Ryan Gravenberch further forward, where he was so effective last season as being a holder and a shuttler as well. So this is a team that, because of the signings made, is top heavy, but also the way Slot is organising this attack. I mean, I've heard many a Liverpool fan go, why is Cody Gakpo getting so many more touches of the ball than up to brand new expensively purchased strikers? So a lot of things to get sorted out, and I'm wondering how Arne Slot goes about.
Then don't be surprised if the manager or the coach struggles to get the results they expect because they've left him with an imbalanced squad.
Carl, the Lewis Steele from Mail on Sunday kind of alludes in a way to how Liverpool's recruitment has gone, because he says Liverpool are the Premier League's answer to Bazball. 1 minute they are a joy to watch and look like a team ready to conquer the world and win trophies galore. The next they are anything but, and their performance makes one think another root and branch inquest is necessary. Does that sum them up just at the moment?
I think it's a fantastic summation of Liverpool's current travails. They've unfortunately got a glass jaw right now, and it was a difficult window they had to address. Because Trent Alexander-Arnold was leaving, they had to rework how their right-hand side was going. Also because Andrew Robertson perhaps couldn't get up and down the field in the same way he wanted to as well, they were going to have to rework their left flank at the same time. So they did that in theory by getting Kirkes and Frimpong, but also the knock-on effect of those signings and how they play had massive alterations on everything. I mean, I was sat with a Liverpool fan watching this game, and they commented about how the balls Mo Salah is getting. He's getting the ball in different areas in the final third, and he's also not getting the passes in the same fluency that Trent Alexander-Arnold get him. He's having to run around a bit more.
Yeah, good morning and welcome to the second hour of Sunday Supplement. Still so much more to talk about this morning, including today's showdown between Arsenal and Manchester United, and whether European countries could boycott this summer's World Cup over Donald Trump. Still with us, Mark Ogden, senior football writer for ESPN, Carl Anker from The Athletic, and Sam Dean, football reporter for the Daily Telegraph and Sunday Telegraph. Okay, let's get into a match that historically needs very little introduction in the Premier League. It's one of the enduring rivalries, isn't it, Sam? Arsenal against Manchester United. The Sunday Express's back page has got the headline, "Go Raise the Roof," from Mikel Arteta. I was at his news conference, as were you, on Friday, and the question was asked almost, the fans at the Emirates getting a little bit twitchy, getting a little bit nervy. What was his message to them? He didn't address the fact that they were getting nervy or twitchy, simply go and be the 12th man.
Yeah, and that's a constant theme of Arteta's time at Arsenal. He's always been very demanding of the home fans, and I think in a lot of occasions in previous years it's been quite effective, and Arsenal have done a lot to sort of build the atmosphere pre-match. And ahead of the PSG game last year, the semi-final Champions League, they had a address from Arteta looking down the camera, sort of "we need you," kind of recruiting the whole fans to the team. And it's a big thing for Arteta, and he's been very personally involved in building that atmosphere. But there is a fundamental issue right now at the Emirates Stadium, which is that there is so much anxiety and angst among the fan base because they've been scarred by the previous 3 years of finishing second and being so close and just falling short every time. And B, because they know that they've got every ingredient possible that they could ever need to win the league. There's everything set up for them to do it this year, and they know how good the team is. But there's so much worry that they won't fulfil that potential that I think it creeps into the stands, and to an extent in certain games has creeped onto the pitch as well. And you hear it sometimes after half an hour of games, 20 minutes, if it's not going as Arsenal really want, you start hearing those groans and those frustrations. And I mean, maybe that's just the fans around the press box. That's where I